This is my kayak trailer, and on the back of it is a Yakima Skybox that I picked up secondhand off of Facebook Marketplace, and I want to attach it to this trailer so that I can carry my fishing poles and other gear in the cargo box rather than putting it in the back of my car. Unfortunately, the clamps on the bottom of the box are a little too narrow for the spacing of the bars on my trailer. Now, I could reposition the bars on the trailer, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep them widespread so that they're better for attaching the kayaks, more stable. So in the positions of the clamps on the box right now, they're spread as far apart as they can go. So I've attached the front clamps, and I'm going to modify this box to move the back clamps back further so that they will attach to the bar. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So I'm going to measure and see how far back I need to move that clamp to line up with the center of the bar. Looks like it needs to come back 7 inches. If we're going to mark where the holes need to be drilled to mount this, I need to measure 7 inches back from each of these two mounting bolts. So let's measure this one first. And this hole is going to need to be right there. And this one is going to need to be right there. So that's where we need to drill. Now, if I was to drill with this clamp on here, this clamp actually extends underneath the bottom of where one of the holes would be. So I would end up drilling into the body of the clamp. So I'm going to need to take that off first. There. Now the hardware is removed, and when I drill, I'm not going to hit anything. Whenever I drill holes that are big like a 1/4 inch, I want to start by drilling starter holes with a smaller drill bit, because a bigger drill bit will tend to wander, whereas the smaller drill bit will stay right in place. There we go. And now we can open those up to a 1/4 inch. All right. Now, one of the risks that you take when you buy secondhand stuff is that there are going to be problems with it. And in this case, you can see that the prop on the front of this box seems to be working fine, but on the back side it's not working right. Doesn't want to hold this box open. I don't know if there's something wrong with it or if it's worn out. I usually just kind of take into account that when I buy something secondhand, there are going to be things about it that are going to need to be fixed. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but it's making it hard for me to work in here, so I'm going to real quickly make a wooden prop, to help hold this box open so that we can get this mounting job done and then worry about that prop a little bit later. So here we are at the bandsaw. Let's go ahead and cut this prop. Now, this strip covers up this slot normally, and the two bolts on the clamp come up through these two holes. And what I should have done was measure between these two holes. When I do that, I see that the spacing is exactly 5.5 inches. And when I laid these holes out, I did it by eye, and I missed a little bit. So the back hole is 7 inches back from the previous back hole, but this one I missed by about 3/8 of an inch from where it needs to be. So this hole actually needs to be moved forward just a little bit. So we're going to have to slot this hole a tiny bit. There we go. So now let's recheck it. Yeah, so now it should work. Now if I was to reinstall this clamp with this strip in, this hole would go up in here like this, and when I put this in the back of the kayak in the right, or in the back of the carrier in the right spot, this big long strip is going to stick way out to the back. So since this isn't going to cover up that slot from back in the back anyway, I'm just going to leave this out, and I'm going to use something else to cover up that slot. So there's what that clamp looks like when it's in place. And that's going to clamp just like that on that bar. So to reinstall this stuff, the first thing we do is put this barrel nut back in the clamp, and then we can put in the parts that are on the top side. First we're going to put this knob back in place. That holds the back of the clamp, right like that. And then next, normally this piece would go around the front bolt, and this slides in this track and gives a place for this cam to rub right here. But this piece has this little piece that goes down inside the groove. So when you set it in place here, it holds it up a little high. I could come in and I could cut that off, or I could make something else that would work in place, but I think for right now I'm just going to go ahead and try to use it as it is and see how that works, and then if there's a problem later, then I'll replace it. So we're going to set this handle in place, take the bolt, run it down through, and then thread it into that barrel nut on the bottom side that's in the clamp. And then tighten this so that when you clamp this in place, it gives sort of a medium amount of tension to be able to flip it over. This right now is a little too tight, so I'm going to back it off. There, that seemed to work pretty well. And it's not pressing on that piece that underneath. It's bending that piece of plastic just a little bit because I'm pushing down on the ears with this cam, but it seems to work real well. And now this side is clamped down really nicely on this bar. And now I can move the clamp that's on the other side. Alright, there we go. Now we're clamped securely. But I would like to cover up these two slots. So I'm going to go ahead and get out my trusty aluminum tape and just tape these over, probably from the top and the bottom. That ought to keep any water from just splashing up inside. first one. If this slot ends up getting punctured with anything, I could always come back and fill that in with a strip of wood and hold that in between the two pieces of tape just to keep this firm. I'll give it a little more strength, but for now it's fine. All right, there we go. Okay, now we'll just go ahead and put this back. All right, and now it's mounted up securely.